Welcome to the Good Neighbors Podcast. This is Shields, with your hosts, Brad Shields and Alex McKee.
You did. Hi guys, we're back. It is almost August. We actually are kind of going back to back in July.
Back to back in July.
Can't get enough of this. So we got a few things to cover today. And first, I want to acknowledge and give appreciation to all the toddler parents. Because last night my toddler escaped her crib for the first time.
We got videos of it.
Like a ninja.
It was fantastic. She climbs out. If she'd have fallen like that in front of us, she'd have cried.
I don't know, but maybe.
She fell like that, jumped up, went over, patted her dog, and she was off.
And she's escaped 3 times since then, and each time quicker and more silent. So we're moving to a toddler bed officially.
Unscripted, I was going to tell you today. I think it's time to quit the naps. We stopped you on naps. You quit taking naps about that same age. I fought with daycare. I had a lady at daycare. She goes, Mr. Shields, it is Indiana state law that a child has to take naps.
Has to take a nap.
I'm like, did you say state law? And I asked her, I said, do you realize what a law is? No, it is not a state law. It is a requirement of daycares to have a place and a time set aside for children to do that. Now, but it's not against the law to not take a damn nap.
Yeah, we'll see. I think we talked about this. We're going to try the toddler bed. We're going to try a different bedtime approach and see how that works.
Well, what they did with you is you had to not bug the other kids. Mm-hmm. You had a little play area over by yourself.
I was older, though.
Not much. Not much.
I got mad they spelled my name wrong. I was that old.
No, that was later.
But anyways, kudos to all the toddler parents. Mad respect. We were just in a groove. We were just in a, she was just doing great. And then
She did great getting out of that crib. That was freaking amazing. Stacked up her stuffed animals.
Yeah, she made a ramp. She made a ramp of stuffed animals, climbed up, swung her foot over, and down she went. Did she fall
the next 2 times
also? No. She fell on her feet. She got better.
Yeah, you're in trouble.
Speaking of getting better, I want to talk about our new product offering that we've got today, which we just received the glass in today. And it is the new, now that I don't know if it's new, it's new to us, Bobcat compact wheel loader, the L85, I believe the L95. I got to learn a little bit more.
Been very hot.
It's been very hot.
The requests have been very hot.
So just like the John Deere P, the new skid steer, that's
ready to go.
That is ready to go. Our prototypes have been out the door. We're waiting on some feedback, and we already have pre-orders on that.
A lot of, we talked about that last time.
Yep,
a lot of John Deere Ps.
So that's about ready to launch.
P as in pneumonia. I used pneumonia last time. Pterodactyl. P as in pterodactyl.
There you go.
Got you on that one, didn't I?
Yeah, it took me a second. Where was I? Bobcat. So we have our prototypes are due to go out early October, but I believe that we should be able to push that a little sooner.
Did you mention Bobcat?
And we're taking pre-orders now on the Bobcat wheel loader as well. And we have 2 other wheel loader projects in the works right now. Wheel loaders are hot and it is awesome. They are big.
Liebherr.
The Liebherr. We are working with Liebherr, so you have to go to them to get our polycarbonate window. But
actually, it's Larry Liebherr we're working with.
It's what?
Larry Liebherr.
Liebherr of North America. And go ahead. Brad got a new toy that he's very excited about.
Not a toy. No, that's insulting.
Okay, it's a piece of equipment that we're going to use for R&D, and he's going to drive around with his grandkid.
Wait, I'm going to clear land for you and your husband.
You are going to do that.
I'm also.
But tell him about your Bobcat.
I'm also going to clear the land down at Lake Lemon that your aunt and uncle have bought. I'm going to help clear it, and we're going to make it like a little
family house.
Yeah. So I'm selling my little tractor, which was great, served me well forever. Mm-hmm. Bucket limitations, some other things, and went up to Bobcat Indy, and Barry there, a salesman, and Chase, Scott, the vice president, took care of me. Said, "Here's what you got to have," and we have it's a T550. I went with the M instead of the R for multiple reasons or different reasons, I guess. The R has a lot of creature comforts on it that I think I wish I had.
Yeah.
But I got air conditioning, so that's really the main thing. We're going to work on a ventilation system so cigar smoke will get out, but that's not true.
I mean, we'll talk about that emergency exit window solution.
That's right. It'll be at trade shows, and we've got a lot more to announce about. There's a lot more to this than just getting a skid loader that we will announce later.
Yeah, lots to come with
Very
that.
excited about. In fact, we can start to kick Europe in the ass a little bit once we get this going.
Big things to happen in 2025 for that,
Yep.
And a lot of fun things to come with it. So that's kind of our updates. And
The mullet.
Oh, well,
Just
before we get too far,
working on
we
the
must
mullet.
address
Last
the
time we
mullet.
talked about it, just got to cut going a little further, a little more part in the back.
And for those of you wondering, no, he does not get a perm.
No.
They are natural curls. As much as it pains me to state, they are great natural curls.
Yep. She has them too. Forever short. Her daughter has them right now.
Yep.
Your brothers were wavier. But yeah, natural. Mm-hmm. Yep. Don't be a hater. But yeah, I thought I'd go. I'm not going with the Joe Dirt.
No, you're bringing your
Because-
80s mullet back.
Yeah, because I can't do a Joe Dirt because I have curlier hair. I'm more flock of seagulls. Much more. You don't even. Oh, you got to Google it. But yeah, definitely. Nothing like
Bringing it back.
1982 right here.
Although if you've looked at the top 10, like the U.S. kids mullet competition, it's hilarious.
Yeah, but they all
mullets.
focus on the Joe Dirt mullet, which is a good mullet. Don't get me wrong.
Well, most people don't have curly froze.
Yeah, there's no bad mullets, but you could do the Viking mullet where it's fully shaved and pull back.
How many guys that look like you have a curly mullet fro?
No, they don't.
Besides, actually, my brother-in-law Ben could.
Ben could. Ben's got to grow a pair to grow a mullet, though.
Okay, he's a dad
Hear that,
now.
Ben? Calling you out.
Okay, guys. So our main topic today that I want to get into is something that it's been near and dear to our hearts. It is a prime process in our product and what we are sought out for many reasons. It's our super coat. And I think we may have talked a little bit about it in the past, but I want to really open up the deck of cards and talk about the differences, the flow process, talk about the silicone base, why stickers don't stick to it, and then really talk about the difference between scratch and abrasion.
Okay, we definitely want to talk scratch and abrasion. You went to a lot of stuff with the coating. We started coating in-house face shields, small racing helmet face shields, and the material, the coating, the siloxane base, the silicone coating has been the same, basically. And silicone, as far as I know, but not a chemist. But we did travel to a big chemical factory recently, and I'm pretty sure think it's silicone.
Yeah.
But then to get the windshields done, we had to send out for them. I would drive to Cincinnati. I don't know if we told that. I drive once a month, and then a couple times a month, and once a week.
Because you guys were trying to scale up. You're coating face shields at the time, right? Papa was coating face shields.
Yeah, we had face shields, but we didn't have any room for doing race car windows.
To coat up.
No. Or the Bobcat, the original G half-inch, we were sending out. So I would take them over in the trailer, Cincinnati, drop them off. Then I started waiting. They get some done. I drive them back. Finally convinced my dad to let Joe and I get a corner of the coating room or the corner of the closet. And we started, but we still hand coat. We don't, I tell you what, I can go into a big side channel on why we won't ever robotic coat. Now we may have some of our things robotically done, but our geometries are too eclectic. We're too big. We're too scaled.
The engineering and programming time wouldn't make sense.
No, it wouldn't. And
be efficient.
And I've watched other people
at this point
doing their robotic coating, and there is no the human art of it. Hey, I've got something back here. I can go fix it. I got this. So they lose that. We won't do that. But anyway,
our margins, the reject margin would be too too high.
And if you're just doing Dodge Caravan rear windows, whatever. But so anyway, we brought it in. But the coating, we're a primer coating, which I'm proud of that because of our adhesion, because of our durability, because of our UV rating. Our coating, the difference with our coating basically is how we do it. We put it on after we form, after we perfectly form without stress. Other guys have all this damn stress in their form product. The coating goes on, weakens the polycarb. Slow down. Well, anyway, you asked me a question about it. I go into the process too much.
We want to talk, and why I bring this subject up, why it's something you can read about on our website. You know, people send us orders like, I want AS4, which is what we're rated for, and we could go down those weeds. But I really want to talk about, we really pay attention to what our end users are saying.
Yes.
We like to know how the windows are performing, what people's hesitations are, what is their concern, you know, what can we explain better, what can we educate people on to know this is what it is and that's where it's at. And so we used for a very long time, we used the word scratch.
We did.
And scratch resistance. And
I
want to
back up 1 second. We've spent the last 5 years or so beating on our windows with hammers.
Yes.
And
in
made
front of
a
people.
big impression. I was going to say a big impact. But made a big impression. And people are kind of starting to get it, that the shit's not going to break under real world, under
the
regular
strength
things.
Education is there.
Right. So then we started hearing, well,
but
it scratches. And so that took us back to looking at our verbiage. We always said we have a scratch test or anti-scratch, and that's actually incorrect. Anything will scratch. A diamond will scratch another diamond. Anything can scratch. And if your goal is to scratch our window, bingo, you get the cookie and you get it done because you scratched the window. And we've had dickheads at the trade show. Their only goal is to scratch our scratch test. Way to go, douchebag. Now go back to your Xbox in the basement. Your mom's wondering why you weren't there. But abrasion is what we're talking about. It's abrasion resistant. As far as scratches, you get a big limb come down, you get a bucket of bolts dropped on you, you may get a scratch or two. It will not interfere with your work. It won't slow you down. We start talking to our guys in the field. Hey, how's your scratching? Well, there's not scratched. Well, you look on it. Yeah, there's 2 or 3 pretty good scratches. And they're all like, oh, yeah, well, shit, that was a fence post. It was a metal fence post that came up in it. Well, yeah, it's going to scratch. It's a freaking piece of metal. But the integrity of the window's fine. They're safe. They kept working. Windshield wipers are for abrasion. We're abrasion resistant for the wipers. Get a bunch of concrete, chunks of rock in there. They're going to probably scratch it if you don't wash it down over time.
Yeah.
So the wording, the verbiage between scratch and abrasion is very important.
It is important. And we understand, like, people will call us up and say, hey, I need your glass. We know that they're not actually referring to the material glass. We still, we confirm, hey, this is polycarbonate. They're like, oh, I know. I just need my glass. Okay, this is the same kind of thing. People will mix abrasion and scratch,
right. and we did for a long time.
We did for a long time, and you kind of consume it under this umbrella. And in general, an educated person in our industry, in our field, not a big deal. But to an end customer and hopefully people that are listening to this, we want to make sure that our integrity is set, and we are being straightforward with what we're selling. And I think that correction's good.
Right, it is, and I think it's important because people say, "Will it scratch?" I'm like, "Well, hell yeah, it'll scratch. Anything will scratch." So I had in the racing world years ago. And if you don't know much about racing in Florida, Daytona is pretty sandy. Sebring is a sand blaster. And Sebring is an old airport racetrack. My grandpa used to live in Sebring, so I'm very familiar with Sebring growing up. And they would do a 24-hour race at Sebring, and they go 24 Daytona, then 12 hours 2 weeks later, 10 days later at Sebring.
A lot of racing.
So we had a team, a Mazda team, good team. They won their class as a 24, the Rolex. That's the one I got on the wall. They sent me a picture.
Yeah.
All signed it, And they were super duper happy. Like, dude, this thing freaking rocked. 24 hours, way before tear-offs, whatever. You want to take a shortcut? Well, no. Um, so 24 hours they're doing great.
Mhm.
They go down. I don't think they won Sebring, but they did. They performed really well. But it calls him up a little pissy. He's like, the window's all pitted up and it's starting to. I'm like, you did 36 hours in the sand. He goes, yeah, but you said. I go, well, it's going to perform. I said, tell me about the nose on your car. He goes, well, all the paint's gone. Yeah, all the paint has gone off the front of the car, and you accept. I just have to repaint it. Today we redecal it. Then it was painting, but you accept the fact you know the front of your car is getting blasted after 36 hours in Florida racing, and
You don't
this
expect
window
your
gave you
windshield to be
36,
perfect.
gave you a 24-hour win, and you went into it, and it's like, God damn, that's pretty good. And the perspective sometimes just a change of, well, I expect, you expect tires to wear. Okay, all racing. My track on my new track loader, there's an expectation that there'll be wear on my track at some time. You understand that its job isn't to wear out right away, but it needs to be functional, and the higher functioning, the better it is. So our abrasion resistance is phenomenal. Our scratch resistance is badass, but it will scratch well before it breaks.
Well, and it'll have wear and tear too.
Absolutely.
Everything does, and I think that's something that it's kind of ironic because people are like, oh, glass is going to break. They assume that, they know that, and a lot of dealerships and rental companies and these people we're working with plan for that.
Oh, sure. It's a contingency that they're prepared for.
But yet, replacing our window in 6 to 8 years after renting it out 1,000 times is inconceivable to some people. And it does. For some, it takes that time. It takes that conversation, and that's why we tell our people we educate, we don't sell.
Right.
But it's interesting, and I think that we've done a really good job in educating and communicating to people, and I want to keep pursuing that. Now, with that being said, we love meeting skeptics. One of my favorite things to do at a trade show is somebody who disbelief, who somebody's like, nah, I've had polycarbonate, I know it's going to yellow, all these things, right? I love showing them, hey, here's our product. We are offering right now free abrasion kits.
Free abrasion test kits.
So basically,
test the abrasion resistance.
And this is something we're going to keep doing.
Yeah.
Because we've done samples. We'll send samples out here and there to different customers, because I think that getting your material in your hands, seeing it, testing it, putting it through the ringer, that's what you need to do.
Well, we started handing out these. Again, I love one of the things over the years I've watched what we've started, and then I've watched the couple competitors we have, or the people in the field.
Oh, we got a whole conversation about
copying what we're doing. But I'm not kidding you. I have to look back. I bet we started this in 2001, handing out these samples.
I grew up handing out these samples
with steel wool in it, and I still have guys that have my old Sycan.net email address on there that still have that sample that they put on their desk. Now, these are more engineers or somebody like that.
And that coating warranties.
Yeah, but not sitting on his desk. They still, and it's amazing though how people go back to their hotel room at the trade shows and they're like, oh, wow, this is really cool. And they'll come back the next day or so. Right, and they're like, because when we do it, it's smoke and mirrors, right? Oh, you're doing it. It's all the conditions are perfect. But the dude's back in his hotel room, by himself or at dinner, and they're like, this shit's tough. This shit is really tough.
And if they know plastics at all, if they know polycarbonate at all, if they know how much glass people go through, it makes a lot more sense. Now, if people try to compare it to glass scratch abrasion resistance, apples to apples, well, it's not apples to apples, and that's the education thing and the pros and cons. But I really encourage people to try it.
Yeah.
We'll ship it to you for free. You just got to ask.
Yeah. I'll put on the table, you talked about the pros and cons. Mm-hmm. And I like doing this now all the time, a lot more than the skeptics. Because I feel like sometimes the skeptics are just wanting to argue or.
They just want to push our buttons, which is the best, but never let it happen.
So you have glass over here that is almost impossible to scratch. I can
Yeah, I
gouge
mean-
it and chip it.
Well, and if you try to scratch it, you're almost going to break it.
Yeah, you will. So the positive is scratch. The other positive is some glass is less expensive.
Yeah, cheap is the word I
Okay,
would give
right.
it.
Okay. So there you go. So they beat us on scratch resistance, and a lot of times they beat us on price. Well, we're lighter, we're better sound, we're better thermal.
Hmm.
We won't mother frickin' break within any real reason. We are full formed. We are 100% made in not just America, but the Midwest
You
America.
stole my line. I was going to throw that in there.
You know, our plastic comes from Indiana. The windows come from Indiana. I think we have one other things that come outside of Indiana. Everything else is from Indiana.
Yeah, we'll get some sheets from different branches that.
Yeah, but that, well, they're all extruded in. So, but I mean, as far as we buy our boxes in Indiana, I mean,
Yeah, our cardboard's out of Indiana. Everything, our coating is out of
my lasers came out of
New
Ohio.
York.
My lasers came out of Ohio and Minnesota. My routers came out of North Carolina.
Most of the on-grids. Anderson
and
is too?
Anderson, yeah.
Okay.
So they came out of North. My point is, we're not coming out of somewhere else, like maybe Japan or whatever. But the other thing is, when you talk about expense, and I get a little tired of that, I find we're not that much more expensive from OEM approved glass. Now you get some cheap cut, whatever. It's the same thing if you want to go to whatever. You want some cheap shit, you
It's
get
cheap.
cheap shit.
You get cheap. You get
And
cheap.
that's, there's times there's a tool, there's some tools at Harbor Freight that do just fine for me.
Huh?
But there's some tools if you buy at Harbor Freight,
It all depends on what you're doing with it.
Yep. And when it's your livelihood working inside a cab, a tree limb that comes down, or you're driving through constantly slapping, and you start to get nicks here in the corner, stuff like that, that doesn't bother you because you're safe. It's not breaking. That rock that bounces, you watch it bounce here, and it just hits. You drive on a highway. Everybody drives on a highway, and you see it come out of that dump truck, and it hits your glass, and it chips it. You're like, what?
Well, recently we had our marketing manager put up a bunch of feedback signs, review signs all around the company, just to get some signs up and get some of our employees to understand how important their work is. And one of them, and I don't know if this is one she's put up yet, it was basically like, my window got hit so many times with rocks. They were referring to like when we hit it with a hammer and the sound. Right. They were like, they didn't even realize anymore. They didn't even flinch anymore because they're so comfortable behind there. And that kind of takes me, we talk about our sales process. And we get a lot of questions. And like I said, a lot of it is what we do is educate. But you'll find, and I've had companies, distributors, they get frustrated because we have 4 variations to one part number or glass number, excuse me. And it's because there's different variations and different thicknesses and hardwares. And our process, if you look on our online store, our website, you will go to order a Bobcat M. You're going to have 3 or 4 questions to input. And then you're even going to get a follow-up call or a text message confirming what you put in, because we know you're spending a lot of money on our product. Right. We're going to make sure it's right. And getting that, Amazon feel we're shooting for, but
we are. But here's one of the differences.
You have to ask those questions.
We learn as you guys give us feedback, our customers. So many of our customers are so great with what they do. So if they only needed a 2-hole M instead of a 3-hole M series on the Bobcat, they wouldn't call and tell us, not even to complain, or not even to say, hey, just a heads up. They would plug that hole, patch that hole. They would get to work. Or if they ordered
make it work.
Right. Or if they ordered a 2 and they needed a 3,
they'd drill it.
They'd drill it. I don't know what you're doing. But what I'm getting at is, for the longest time, we didn't realize we had some issues, or we had not issues, but we needed to fit models a little differently.
We had to dial it
until we get that feedback, because these guys just want to go to work. And that's our whole point. We want this window to go in and not be thought about afterwards. Yep.
And I want you to sit behind your window working. It get hit with a rock and you not flinch. You keep working.
So
You know you're safe.
we had a picture. We had a warranty question not too long ago, within the month. And I get it bubbles up to me, and I get wind of it.
Which doesn't happen. A, warranty claims doesn't happen very often.
No.
B, the fact that I brought you in.
Right. And so I saw the picture of it, and my first thing I said, he shouldn't be asking for warranty. He should be buying me bourbon. And after we kind of took a minute to catch our breath, he's like, fuck yeah. So the dude's sitting in the cab, and there's a tree, got to be 11 and a half inches, almost 12 inches.
It'd be hard to.
And it's shredded up.
It took up a corner of the whole
It come
corner.
down, and it went through, and it did. It broke the bottom where the wiper mount is in the window and stopped.
It stuck right there. He took a picture. So the guy's sitting in the cab, and kudos to him because he didn't move. Grabs his phone from wherever he was in the cab, and it's right here. And he takes a picture of it while he's sitting in there.
So the fortunate thing is the window saved his life. And, you know, the same thing we said to him, said, I'd love to have one that, you could hit with the missile. Well, you want to pay for it, we'll come up with it. But the point is, same thing with scratching. Will it scratch? Yes, but the scratch is not going to put you in danger. And it's going to take a ton of scratches before you're like, oh, I can't deal with this anymore.
Well,
and that's what we're after.
It is. And, we're talking to our heavy equipment operators majority of the time, but let's not forget, we also sell windows and make, like recently, we're making camera lenses, like a camera protector. So these high, I don't know cameras very well, but expensive high optic cameras. And we're high optic polycarbonate with our coating. And so we're having to protect these expensive cameras. And we do a lot of projects that we don't turn around and sell. These are for the customer comes to us. And that abrasion resistance is what they need. And you've got higher,
so
one scratch.
you don't lose your light transmission, over time. There's an acceptable loss over time, but not every damn time.
But a scratch on that would be fine. An abrasion a hazing would never work for them. No. And so it's different industries have different priorities when it comes to their coating and their products. And I mean, everything we've crossed besides maybe trophies and some other random things, our poly and our coating is everything. And I've had many new customers recently in the past year or so. They'll come to me and they'll want acrylic, or they'll want a GP with a general purpose polycarbonate. And we have to have some good conversations and meetings and talk to them. And we do our best. We don't call it upselling. It's educating. You want the high quality. You want the high optics.
We don't stock anything but high optics. Right. So it becomes actually almost
for this reason.
Yeah. You talk about this. I think we should talk about this in a podcast. I gave a gentleman a tour just the other day, and he knew we made heavy equipment windows.
Okay.
Right? He's bought
That's
from
a first.
us.
Okay.
Well, from a Bobcat dealer.
Oh, well, yeah, that makes sense.
But he was floored, blown away with all the other shit we do. They're all windows. Now, mind you, they're almost all windows. We have a couple widgets. We'll talk about that. But
and they go through the same process.
From the boats to the giant windows. Again, we talked about Disney last time.
Yep.
But
we got their monorail material in.
The boat windows are off the charts. 71-foot pleasure boat windows that you don't sleep on that boat.
No,
because you have a bigger boat to sleep on.
It's like a dinghy next to your big yacht.
But sometimes it'd be nice to talk about that. But
it's always fascinating to me. I probably give more tours than you do now.
More what?
Tours.
Yeah.
And we're in a smallish town. We're in Martinsville, and even recent interviews that I've had, they're blown away at the fact that we are where we are.
Yeah.
And that we do what we do. And you walk through our maze of a building. And I think that would be something too. We could even look at doing
a remote.
A remote? Yeah. I was going to say an on-site video.
But a remote, after everybody's gone, because I'll smoke when I'm working sometimes. But before we run out of time, I don't know if I told you this. It was in the news. But Elmer Fudd and Daffy Duck broke in to Starlight Distillery down in New Albany, Indiana. Good friends of ours. They got it on camera. As they get in there, Daffy Duck goes, That's whiskey, isn't it? Elmer Fudd goes, well, not as whiskey as robbing a bank.
I don't think I can beat that. So we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you for tuning in to the This is Shields podcast. To learn more about Shields and our commitment to windshields with performance-proven toughness, visit us at shieldswindshields.com. For any inquiries or to explore our range of products, give us a call at 1-800-554-7527. For quick assistance, you can also text us at 765-913-8121. Stop by our headquarters at 1000 Industrial Drive in Martinsville, Indiana, to experience firsthand the excellence we put into every product we make. For any further information or questions, feel free to send an email to info@shieldswindshields.com. We'd love to hear from you. Once again, thank you for tuning into this episode of the This is Shields podcast. Keep pushing the boundaries of performance and stay inspired.